Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into the video. Today I'm going to show you how to repair an iPod Touch. So this is a 4th generation iPod Touch, and as you can see it has a broken piece of glass. So we are going to go ahead and take this glass off. So the first thing you will need is a heat gun. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my heat gun. I turn my heat gun to about 580 degrees or so. And then you're just going to want to heat the edges of this glass. Be really careful that you do not melt the home button. We're going to have to use the home button on our next piece of glass. I have one of my iFixit tools. I'm going to go ahead and take that, work it in this lower part of the iPod. And as you can see, we can just go ahead and peel this right up. Should peel right off. Now, as you guys noticed, when I used my tool, after I got the glass nice and hot, I came in down by the home button. There's pretty safe area. There's nothing you can harm or affect. And I just pried it up a little bit and I let the heat do the rest of the work. There are some pretty vulnerable spots on this iPod that you really want to stay away from. So the next thing that I'll do is actually cut this display cable. It's not going to harm anything. We're going to be replacing this LCD, and so it has a new cable, but we're going to go ahead and get it out of the way. But as you can see here, up at the very top, I have a Wi-Fi cable, which is over here, and I have on a horizontal area. It's kind of tough to see in this angle. I actually have the Wi-Fi cable, and then right in there, this other corner, this is actually a power button cable. You need to be very careful when you're removing this glass that you stay away from that area. If you get your tool up and around this glass, prying it away, and if you nick that cable, your iPod is pretty much done. If you cut this Wi-Fi cable, you're not going to be able to get Wi-Fi. Your range will be really poor. So now that we've actually removed this, we're going to go ahead and get rid of the rest of the glass and the stickiness. So now that we have the glass off, and now that we have gotten rid of the rest of the LCD, we're going to go ahead and remove the screws. So there's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 screws that we need to take off in order to remove this metal plate. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. After we go ahead and remove the screws, we also want to get this little metal bracket which holds the camera in. We want to remove that as well. Don't forget it. So now that we have taken all the screws out and we removed the little metal plate that covers and holds in the camera, we need to actually remove this plate. One way that I like to do it, which is really easy, is to actually put a little bit more heat on it and then just negotiate the frame upwards. The next thing that I like to do is actually put a little bit of heat on this plate so we can remove it a little bit more easy. If you just heat it up, and if you work your frame again on the lower part where the home button would normally be, we should be able to start to lift the plate. When we get it to a point where we can actually see underneath it, you should be able to start to lift this frame up. You just want to be careful because there's still going to be adhesive in there. And the way that I get around that is just taking my heat gun again, turning it on, using one hand to kind of pull it up. On this back side, once it gets warm enough, it will come right up for you. You won't have to pry, and you won't have to worry about damaging anything. You can just simply lift it right up and be good to go. From this point, we can remove our final 2 screws, which are located right here by the camera, right on the other side of the LCD connection. Once we go ahead and take those screws out, we can lift the logic board, remove the cable, and begin installing our display. So let's do that now. So now that we've removed the screw right by the camera, right by the bracket, which is just above the display cable, we'll zoom in for you guys. It would be right there. We can go ahead and lift up the logic board and disconnect the other cable for our display. You would just peel back the camera, go ahead and lift your logic board up. I use the camera kind of as a kickstand, and then this way I can unwrap this copper piece. You can just pop out the cable. That was where the cable was that we cut. Now all we have to do is go ahead and put our new display on. We'll go ahead and start that process now. Okay, so we went ahead and just reconnected the new LCD. We put the screws back in where the camera was, back on the back side of the logic board, and then to save you guys some time, I didn't go ahead and film putting the plate back on. It's pretty self-explanatory. You just lay the plate in, put the screws where they belong, and then you'll be good to go. The next step from here is to actually lay some adhesive, which is going to be up here on the sides, which I've already actually done as well, and transplant your home button. If you don't get a glass replacement that actually will have a home button in it, you'll need to go ahead and transplant it from your old piece of glass over to your new piece of glass. The last things that I'll give you as far as tips are concerned, make sure that you have your surface area completely cleaned and full of any glass or additional debris. These things fit together absolutely precise, so we want to make sure that all those areas are clean, everything looks good. You'll also want to do a test fitment. You'll want to take your piece of glass, lay it in, and make sure that everything fits nice and square, nice and perfect and tight. If you had damaged a corner or one of the areas were bent in, you're probably not going to be able to get that piece of glass to lay flat, and you may have to grab some pliers to kind of work the frame and to get everything so it lines up so you can lay it nice and flat. Other than that, you guys should be good to go for your installation. I would also recommend plugging in both of the cables and just testing them, so that way you know that your iPod will actually work once you actually fully reassemble it. Do your test fitment, put on your adhesive, make sure that there's no extra glass or debris or bends or dings in the frame, and you guys will be good to go. So we're going to go ahead and lay the glass down, and then we'll go from there. Now we've gone ahead and we've laid the glass down. We've made sure that everything fits perfectly, and as you can see, everything's booting up. The iPod is working great, and we'll just be able to actually press the iPod is what I do. I'll put a little bit of heat on this LCD, and then I'll put it under pressure just so that it can actually adhere just a little bit better. After I let it sit overnight, this iPod will be good to go. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Hopefully it's been helpful. If you have any questions, let me know. Let me know if there's any other tutorial videos that we can make for you guys.